Hey guys, welcome back. I have another fun dupes video for you today, and this is just a quick one, but I got a couple of requests during my Sunday haul to show some dupes for the Tower 28 blushes. I picked up almost all of the shades when the Tower 28 website was having a sale. I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, and I am just loving these blushes, but they do definitely remind me of other cream blushes that I already have in my collection from the drugstore. And thank you to those of you who suggested this video idea as well. I had so much fun putting this together. And I am going to be actually showing application on each cheek so you can see what they look like side by side as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. But before we do, I just want to mention quickly that these are not exact formula dupes. They're mostly color dupes, but I did make sure that all of the blushes have the same type of feel once they dry down on your cheeks. I'm not going to be comparing something that is super greasy and messy to the Tower 28. I'm also not going to be comparing liquid formulas. They're all cream versions. I also tried to make sure that the dupes I selected are just as long lasting, and also that just they look the same on your skin texture wise, you know, and finish wise, I should say. So I think that's really what we're looking for here, is just the end result, even if they might feel a little bit different as you're putting them on your skin. So let's take a look at the first color, and that is the Tower 28 blush in the shade Magic Hour. And this one is a beautiful kind of peachy pink beige. And the dupe that I found for this one is the Holika Holika Jelly Dough blusher in the shade Nuts Jelly. And this is a K-beauty brand, and they have them at Yes Style, but you can also get them at Ulta as well. They're very affordable, and I love the formula. Now, this formula is a little bit different than the Tower 28. This one I feel like is a little bit more emollient. It feels a little bit sticky when you first pick it up. This one is definitely more of like a putty-like texture. It's a little bit on the drier side, but these colors look just about identical side by side. I think they both have the same kind of tone, and once you actually put them on your skin, which I'll show you here, I think really you can't tell the difference. Like I said, the Tower 28 one does have a little bit more emollients to it at first, but on my dry skin, it dries down completely. And the Jelly Dough blush from Holika Holika, like I said, it has that kind of putty-like feel, so it starts out almost with immediately a powdery finish. So the Tower 28 one takes a little bit longer to dry down, but once they're on your cheeks, they look identical. I really cannot tell the difference between the two once I'm looking at them side by side. Now, I just wanted to mention too that these Tower 28 blushes do dry down all the way on me because I have such dry skin, but I've heard from a few of you who have more oily and combination skin that they don't dry down on you. So I just wanted to mention that these might work a little bit differently for you depending on your skin type. But if you like something that has more of that powdery feel, then definitely check out the Holika Holika ones because they really are not sticky in the slightest bit. And I think if you have more oily skin and you don't like that kind of dewy feel on your cheeks, these would be amazing. The next shade that I have from Tower 28 is a beautiful peachy shade called Rush Hour. This is another one that I am loving. I think it's so pretty. And the dupe that I have for this is the Milani Cheek Kiss blush in the shade Euro Peach. These, oh my gosh, they are so similar both in color and also in just the texture and feel. I think the Milani ones definitely come the closest as far as the actual formula. If you want to dupe the formula, the Milani ones are definitely the way to go. I think they are so incredibly similar. The one thing that I think is just slightly different about the two is that the Milani ones don't have that slight bit of stickiness or tackiness that the Tower 28 blushes have. I think as you blend out the Tower 28 blushes, they definitely lose that stickiness, and I don't notice them lifting up my foundation or anything like that. But I think the Milani ones are just way quicker to dry down and just kind of turn again into that powdery finish very quickly. So if that's something that you prefer in a cream blush, then I think you'll really like the Milani ones a lot as well. But yeah, I think these two colors are a really great match. The next shade that I have from Tower 28 is Golden Hour, and this one is a slightly deeper version of Rush Hour, which you just saw. That one is a little bit more peachy, and this one's a little bit of a deeper kind of peachy coral. It's gorgeous as well. I really am loving all of these colors, and one really close dupe that I was able to find in my collection is from e.l.f., and that's their putty blush in the shade Bahamas. These two, again, are almost a spot-on shade for shade match. I was really blown away by how close they were. Again, I think the e.l.f. blushes have a more putty-like texture, a little bit drier, very similar to the Holika Holika Jelly Dough blushes. So they're not necessarily going to feel the same as the Tower 28 ones going on, but as you'll see with the demo, I think they really do look exactly like once they actually go on my cheeks. I really couldn't tell the difference at all. And again, e.l.f. doesn't have that stickier feel. It pretty much goes right to a powdery finish the minute it hits your skin, and it's really super easy to blend, very user-friendly. I feel like the e.l.f. ones maybe are a little bit more sheer, so I find that I need to build them up a bit more than the Tower 28. Those really, you have to be very careful to only use the tiniest little amount, or else you can go kind of overboard with them. So there are a couple of formula differences between these two, but I feel like they have very similar longevity. The e.l.f. ones last all day on me as well, and it looks exactly the same. So for me, that's what counts. Next up, we have the shade Power Hour from Tower 28, and this one is a deeper rosy brown. It looks really deep in the pan, but once I put it on my skin, I just have to be really careful with this one not to overdo it. I just put a tiny little amount, and that seems to work out just fine. It shears out beautifully, but I do want to mention as well that with any of these, they build up really nicely on themselves. They're not like those types of blushes that kind of pick up the layer underneath. They do layer really, really well, so that's another great thing about these. But a dupe that I found for this one, I think I actually already showed this dupe in a different dupes video that I did a while ago, and that is the e.l.f. Putty Blush in the shade Bali. These two, again, super, super similar. They both have that kind of rosy brown look to them. And like I mentioned with the last dupe, the e.l.f. one is a little bit more sheer, but once you build up the color, you can make it look exactly like the Tower 28 one. I really, again, did not see any difference between these two once I actually put them on my face. So I am loving this dupe as well. And if you are more on the fair to light skin side and you're worried about overdoing it with this color, but you really like the look of it, then again, the e.l.f. one I think is just a little bit more user-friendly. It's harder to mess this one up just because it's a little bit more on the sheer side. So definitely check this one out. And then last but not least, we have this beautiful, bright, punchy pink from Tower 28. It's called Happy Hour. And when you look at this one in the pan, it does look a little bit intimidating. It looks really bright, but it does sheer out beautifully on the skin. Again, you can build it up to look a little bit more like this, but I just take it on my finger. Just one little dab is all I need, and it works out great. So the dupe that I have for this one is another Milani dupe, and that is the shade I Cherish You. I mean, these look pretty much identical. Again, when you look at them in the pan, it's pretty hard to tell the difference. I feel like the Milani one maybe looks slightly deeper than the Tower 28, but once you swatch them together and you see them go on my skin, I think that there's really no difference between the two at all. They look so super close. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, I think the Milani ones are definitely the closest to the Tower 28 formula at the drugstore that you can get. Color-wise, I was only able to find 2 of the Milani that actually matched the Tower 28 colors. But I mean, overall, I think, again, this shade is pretty much spot on. When you look at it on my cheeks, I can't tell the difference between them at all. Also, one thing that I wanted to mention just application-wise, any of these blushes that I showed today can be applied either with your fingers. You can use like a stippling brush or a different type of brush, whatever you're comfortable with. You can also use a damp beauty sponge. For me personally, the reason that I use my fingers is because I find that I have just a bunch of tools in one. When you dip a brush in, let's say, and maybe you get too much on your brush, then as you're trying to blend it out, you have all this product to deal with. Whereas if you use your fingers, and this is, I think, why I like this method the best, usually I'll pick up the product with my index finger like this, and then I'll dot it on my cheeks. Then I will take my middle finger, which is clean, to blend it with, so that way I'm not adding more. And if I do need to add more, I can go back in and tap with my pointer finger again, then go back in and blend with my middle finger. I could even use this one. Sometimes I use my pinky, like to just kind of clean up if I go too far. So I feel like with your fingers, you kind of have some cleaner tools right at your disposal, versus with a brush or a sponge, if you have too much on it, then you're gonna have to go get another clean tool just to try to blend it out if you apply more than you wanted to. So that's really the main reason I use my fingers. And I also feel like I have a little bit more control with them as well. But again, use whatever tool you're comfortable with. I would just recommend, if you are going to use brushes or sponges, to just have some clean ones on hand to be able to blend with in case you take too much product. So anyway, guys, that is everything that I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. If you have any of the Tower 28 blushes, or if you have any of the dupes, and just what your thoughts thoughts are on all of these formulas. I always love chatting with you guys and hearing your thoughts on everything. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, spending time here watching my video. I appreciate it so much. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you like dupes and saving money on makeup, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye.